Good morning, it's day 2 of DSEI. We're here at the centre of the show, next to the IAI, Israeli Aircraft Industries, Aerospace Industries, and Elbit Systems, who are two major Israeli companies exhibiting at the show. Now, the presence of these companies has caused a major controversy within the UK, calls for them to be banned, protests outside the show, and of course, Israeli government delegations have been banned from attending the show. Francis, how do you see the long-term future of Israeli companies in the UK in the light of all this controversy and crisis?
There is a massive dichotomy, and it's between political and military/technological. Over on the IAI stand, we of course have some of their systems that make up. Everyone says Iron Dome, that's actually a very low-level one. But David Sling, the anti-ballistic missile shield, we saw, what was it, a year ago, 18 months ago, the first interceptions of missiles, exo-atmospheric, outside Earth atmosphere. You know, this is Star Wars stuff. It is an incredibly successful system, as has been sadly demonstrated for so long. And so if you're now facing an era where integrated air and missile defense is important, it's only natural that you would say, who do we know who has the experience and actually the operational experience of this type of warfare? And it is mainly Israel. So, and also their systems are far cheaper than the American equivalents, THAAD. So you've got that on one hand, but then politically, you've got a Labour Party which largely wants, talking about sanctions. It has been supportive of the near weekly pro-Palestinian marches in London. And so you have this very strange balance between the politics, but then the industrial and technology.
But yesterday we had a third stone thrown into the pond with the Israeli strike on Qatar, which is a British ally, a major British trading partner, a major purchaser of British defence equipment, a host of a British base and a British RAF squadron operating Typhoon planes. Qatar has a major exhibit at this show. I've seen Qatari officers walking around the show in large numbers, and they'll be wondering which side Britain is on in this growing Middle East conflict.
Which adds to this political and military dichotomy. Yes, you can say, well, Qatar has been, harboring Muslim Brotherhood and harboring Hamas and so forth. But yeah, it is on the same line, a major Western ally. They bought Rafale, they bought F-15X and so forth. Can Israel be allowed to strike targets in Qatar with impunity and no sanctions and whatever? And so it's making the political room for maneuver, doing it's just one instance. Let's forget about it. This type of stance is starting to become very difficult.
I mean, looking at the stands at the moment, there seem to be Israeli companies seem to be attracting a lot of interest from the clients at the show. They seem to be getting lots of visitors, and people are quite keen to find out what they're doing. But in this new environment of international hostility to Israel, their country's defense export industry must be under a lot of pressure.
I think very much it is. Especially Elbit has embedded itself quite successfully as a disruptor in UK defence industry. They are part of a major Royal Navy training programme, Project Selborne. And that came in with some criticism because it turned out they were involved with holding records of nuclear submariners. And people going, "We're sure this is right." They are also bidding for the Army's collective training programme. And there's been a certain amount of controversy about that published in the Times over the last 2 weeks. It will be interesting. And the Army, the official line from the MOD is nothing to see here. They are bidding for programmes, nothing to see, go away. Politically, it would be a brave Prime Minister who signed off on a major British programme in the billions, where the lead beneficiary is an Israeli company.
Well, I mean, everyone's talking about this Qatari strike. President Trump's outraged, and the question must be, where does this Middle East crisis go next, and what is the diplomatic fallout for Western companies, but also for Britain? Britain is forging a lot of ties with Turkey. They host a Hamas delegation in Istanbul. I mean, the implications of this crisis are off the scale, really.
And it's getting, I suspect, getting more and more difficult for any country. America is always different, right? But if you're not America, the options for sitting on a fence are getting very, very limited. And it is likely more and more significant Arab states, even like Saudi Arabia, are going to start saying, no, you have to take sides.
Well, we'll see how it develops.